For millions of people in the late 80s and early 90s, The Cosby Show was way more than just a funny TV show. It was like a really important moment in TV history. The main reason it was so good was because of Phylicia Rashad, who played Claire Huxtable. She was the smart, kind mom that everyone loved. The show changed how people saw American families on TV by being funny and sweet. Now she's 77 years old, and she's thinking about what really happened when they were making the show. In some new interviews, she's talking about things she's never talked about before. She's telling us about the pressure she felt to make the show look perfect, what it was like working with everyone, and the tough situation with Bill Cosby, the main star. For the first time ever, she's letting us know what it was really like behind the cameras. It was full of hard times, being loyal to people, and staying strong even when things got tough. Phylicia once said something like, "You don't just accidentally get to play Claire Huxtable. You have to walk in a special way, stand up for yourself, and speak like you know important things," and she's totally right about that. It's the way she carries herself with dignity, the smart way she talks, how elegant she looks, and the deep feelings you can see in her eyes that made Phylicia Rashad more than just a famous actress. She became like a powerful symbol that people look up to. To understand why she's still so important in American culture today, and why people of all ages still respect her, we need to go back to where it all started. Before she was famous, before people clapped for her on Broadway and she became a TV star, she was just a young girl from Texas. She grew up around music, books, and the belief that art could make people feel better about life. Her early life and childhood were all about trying to be the best at everything. Phylicia Rashad was born with the name Phylicia Eyes Allen on June 19, 1948 in Houston, Texas. She was the second kid out of 4 children in a family that was really talented and smart. Her mom, Vivian Eyes, was a poet and writer who almost won a really important award called the Pulitzer Prize. She also taught at colleges and made sure her kids loved books, culture, and art. Her dad, Andrew Arthur Allen, was a dentist who worked on people's teeth. He taught his kids to work hard, get a good education, and always do their best. Even though her parents got divorced when she was little, the good things they taught their kids never went away. So her childhood was full of creativity and big dreams. Her sister Debbie Allen even became a famous dance teacher and movie director. Their house was like a safe place where they could express themselves. It was filled with books, music, and talks that made them think hard and dream big. Unfortunately, back then in the 50s and 60s, Houston wasn't always nice to black people who were doing well. But the Allen family refused to make themselves smaller because of unfair treatment based on race. Vivian took her kids to Mexico when Phylicia was a teenager to get away from the mean treatment in the South and to show them a different world where their talents could grow without the limits that came from being separated because of their race. That move was unusual but really brave, and it helped shape how Phylicia saw the world and herself. From when she was really young, Phylicia knew she was supposed to perform. Whether it was music, theater, or dance, she put her whole heart into it. She especially loved being on stage, a place she thought was special, where stories and truth could come together. After she graduated from Howard University in 1970 with a degree in theater, and she did really well in school, she jumped right into working as a professional actress. Howard University was really important in making her into the woman she became. It wasn't just a college, but a place where black people could be excellent. She learned from really smart teachers and developed a powerful way of being on stage that made people pay attention. There she made her voice better, got really good at acting, and developed the smart thinking that would make her work special for many years. Before TV made her famous in everyone's homes, Phylicia proved herself in theater. Her early work on Broadway included parts in shows like Dreamgirls, The Wiz, and Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. She wasn't just in those shows, though. She also performed in more classic plays like Shakespeare and Greek dramas, which was something not many black actresses got to do back then. In the late 1970s, She decided to change her last name to Rashad after she married an NFL football player and sports announcer named Ahmad Rashad. This was her third marriage. Even though their marriage didn't last, the name Rashad became connected with her strength, intelligence, and grace. On stage, people knew her for being really skilled and showing real emotions. She could always play characters that felt like real people and had deep meaning. In many ways, she was ahead of her time, a black woman on Broadway giving amazing performances in places where people of color were still sometimes not trusted. She didn't just open doors for other people. She walked through them with so much power and grace that other people felt like they had to follow her. What made her special wasn't just that she was a good actress, but the way she carried herself. She had this elegant, calm confidence that made people respect her without her having to demand it. She didn't have to talk loudly to be heard. Whether she was practicing for a show, in a classroom, or on TV, people listened when she talked. She was really good at showing both intelligence and warmth, which made her perfect for roles where she had to play teachers, mothers, counselors, or spiritual guides. There was always something refined, even royal, about the way she performed. She had a way of making grace feel normal, like something anyone could have. As her career got bigger, she didn't just take opportunities for herself, she gave back to others. In the 1990s and 2000s, she became a respected director, especially in the theater world. She directed plays by August Wilson, including Gem of the Ocean and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and did a great job with these complicated works. She also went back to Howard University as the dean of the Chadwick A. Bozeman College of Fine Arts. This was like coming full circle and showed how much she cared about helping the next group of young black artists. As dean, she focused on not just being excellent at art, but also being responsible for their culture. She encouraged students to see their work as part of a bigger story. It's not too much to say that many groups of black performers have gotten inspiration from her example. She has mentored, lifted up, and taught hundreds of students, many of whom have gone on to do really well in theater, movies, and TV. Her influence in this way is huge. A career this long and amazing is also decorated with lots of awards and honors. Throughout her career, Phylicia has collected many awards that show how brilliant she is. In 2004, she became the first black woman to win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a play for her role as Lena Younger in A Raisin in the Sun. That performance was like a perfect lesson in staying calm, showing emotion, and having dignity that other people could learn from. She has also won NAACP Image Awards, BD Honors, been nominated for Drama Desk Awards, and in 2016, she got the Lucille Lortel Award for Outstanding Lead Actress. In 2021, she was made dean of her old college's fine arts school, which started a new part of her life as a leader and teacher. In an industry that often chases after young people and new things, Phylicia has stayed timeless. She continues to act in movies and TV shows with recent roles in series like Empire, This Is Us, David Makes Man, and movies like Creed and Soul. In each of these, she brings the same dignity, wisdom, and emotional skill that made her earlier work so good. Her importance goes beyond just her acting. In the time of social media, cultural discussions, and racial awakening, she represents a kind of hope and excellence that many people look to for guidance, especially black women. She is proudly black, proudly intellectual, and deeply connected to her spiritual and cultural background. What makes Phylicia Rashad iconic today isn't just her resume, it's what she represents. In a world full of noise and show-off behavior, she reminds us of the power of being deep, patient, and graceful. She's like a cultural guide star for many people, particularly black women, who see in her the perfect example of being strong without being hard, elegant without being stuck up, and smart without being fake. She has become the kind of older person that every community needs, someone who has walked the road with honesty and now lights the way for others. Her journey from Houston to Broadway, from primetime TV to university, leadership isn't just a career. It's a legacy, but for all the respect and clapping she gets, there is another side to Phylicia's story. one that's more complicated, more controversial, and deeply connected to one of TV's most loved and troubled shows. Before we can fully understand her legacy, we need to explore the role that made her famous around the world, The Cosby Show, and we will look at what it meant and what it cost to be the face of a dream built on complicated truths. It's important to remember that Phylicia was already a powerful force before the world met Claire Huxtable, the controversial Cosby Show that defined a generation and affected her in more ways than one. In the late 1980s, American TV was about to have a major cultural change, though not many people could have guessed just how big it would be. The change came from The Cosby Show, a sitcom built around comedian Bill Cosby's idea of a warm, successful black family. What happened next was a national phenomenon. The Cosby Show became one of the most successful and influential TV programs in history, not only because of how many people watched it, but because of the way it changed how Americans thought about black families. At the center of that groundbreaking show was Phylicia Rashad, a woman who brought unmatched elegance, intelligence, and emotional depth to the role of Claire Huxtable. Before she became Claire, though, before the show became something people had to watch on Thursday nights, The Cosby Show was just an idea, one that would end up changing not just TV, but the cultural landscape for an entire generation. The idea for The Cosby Show came from Bill Cosby's desire to show a positive, realistic picture of a black family, one based on love, discipline, and moving up in the world instead of the usual negative or mean descriptions. Throughout the 1970s, black families on TV were typically shown through working class shows like Good Times or Sanford and Son, or overly stylized dramas where class, intelligence, and family structure weren't explored properly. While these shows gave important visibility, they rarely focused on a professional, stable, upper-middle class black household. Bill imagined something different, a sitcom that would reflect his own life as a college-educated, successful black man raising children in a two-parent household. The Huxtables would be a family that people could look up to but still relate to, where the parents were professionals, a doctor and a lawyer. The children were unique individuals, and the humor came from love rather than problems. This idea was initially met with doubt. Network executives at NBC weren't sure whether audiences, especially white audiences, would embrace a show about a successful black family that didn't fit into familiar media stereotypes. Still, Bill Cosby pushed forward, insisting that the show be based on authenticity and subtlety, not caricature or silly comedy. That vision would eventually become the foundation of a cultural phenomenon. As producers began to put together the cast, one of the most important decisions was who would play Claire Huxtable, the mother of the family. The role needed an actress who could show strength, sophistication, warmth, and wit. Someone who could match Bill Cosby's charisma without being overshadowed. It wasn't enough to be funny. The actress had to carry authority and compassion equally. Initially, the role was written as a stay-at-home mother, but after Phylicia auditioned, that changed. Her presence was undeniable. She radiated intelligence, moved with calm confidence, and spoke with a rhythm and poise that immediately reshaped how the producers imagined Claire. After seeing her audition, Cosby reportedly reimagined the character as a lawyer, elevating her from supportive homemaker to equal intellectual partner in the Huxtable household. Phylicia brought with her a rich background in theater, which added depth to her performance. She wasn't just acting in front of a live audience, she was embodying a kind of woman that had rarely been seen on TV, and from her very first scene, it was clear she was Claire Huxtable. The Cosby Show premiered on NBC on September 20th, 1984. By the end of its first season, it was a smash hit, sitting at number 3 in the Nielsen ratings. By its second season, it was number 1, and it would stay at the top for 5 straight years, an unprecedented achievement for any TV program. The appeal was instant and widespread. Black audiences saw themselves in the Huxtables in a way they rarely had before, while white audiences saw a version of black family life that challenged familiar narratives. The Huxtables weren't weird or unusual. They were simply a well-drawn, relatable family that happened to be black. The genius of the show was that it was specific in its cultural origin yet universal in its themes. The Huxtable household became iconic. The brownstone house, the jazz records, the sweaters, the dance sequences, the heartfelt talks all combined to create something that felt homey and relatable. As Claire Huxtable, Phylicia was magnetic. She wasn't just any TV mom, she was the TV mom of that time. Claire was a sharp, high-powered attorney who balanced career and motherhood without sacrificing her grace or her authority. She was not the comic sidekick to her husband, nor a silent figure in the background. She was every bit as funny, firm, and talented as Cliff. What made Claire unique was that she was allowed to be many things: a partner, a parent, a professional, a disciplinarian, and a romantic. Her scenes with Bill were filled with mutual respect and chemistry. Her scenes with the children, especially when delivering sharp, loving corrections, became legendary TV moments. Perhaps most memorably was how Phylicia portrayed Claire as a woman who demanded respect, not through yelling or harshness, but with an intellectual command that made every word count. She spoke the truth with calm authority, and that stayed in people's minds. It wasn't just entertaining, it was life, changing for many young black women growing up in the 1980s. They saw in Claire a vision of themselves they had never imagined possible. The Cosby Show did more than succeed in ratings. It reshaped the cultural narrative around black families. The Huxtables shattered the tired stereotype of the broken black household and offered a different reality, one that had always existed but had rarely been spotlighted in mainstream media. Claire's character in particular challenged the stereotype of the submissive, voiceless black woman or the overbearing, emotionally distant mother. Instead, she was loving but firm, beautiful but grounded, commanding but tender. She helped redefine what black femininity could look like on TV. Across the country, young black viewers watched the Huxtables and saw possibilities. College suddenly seemed more achievable. Marriage looked fulfilling, not burdensome. Parenthood was portrayed as a journey of growth and love rather than struggle and survival. For many families, Thursday nights became sacred, a time to gather, laugh, and be seen. The show also had real effects on education. At its height, The Cosby Show was credited with a spike in applications to historically black colleges and universities, largely due to its consistent celebration of black academic excellence and positive portrayals of college life. It made black success feel not just aspirational, but normal. Off-camera, Phylicia was more than just an actress reading lines. She was an important part of the show's tone and message. She was known for her professionalism and presence on set. She helped maintain a culture of excellence. Cast members have often spoken about the family-like environment behind the scenes, one in which she played a major role. As the seasons progressed, her input into the development of Claire's character grew. She ensured Claire never slipped into a supporting role, always remaining the intellectual and emotional backbone of the show. While Bill Cosby was the star and creator, it was Phylicia who brought balance, who carried the heart of the show. During the 8th-season run from 1984 to 1992, she became a national symbol of maternal wisdom and black professional womanhood. She received Emmy nominations and NAACP Image Awards for her work. But more importantly, she became an enduring cultural figure. To many, she was their mother, their aunt, their teacher, their guiding star. Even today, decades after the show ended, its cultural effects are unmistakable. From sitcoms like Black-ish and The Bernie Mac Show to modern-day dramas like This Is Us, the influence of The Cosby Show is deeply felt. Claire Huxtable remains a benchmark for excellence in TV writing and performance. She wasn't perfect, but she was fully formed, and that alone was revolutionary. Her presence on screen carved out space for countless portrayals of black women that followed. The show gave America a vision of a black family that was layered, loving, funny, and unshakably human. Phylicia Rashad was its moral compass, its intellectual anchor, and its emotional core. For 8 years, she helped millions of viewers reimagine what black womanhood could look like, and that vision still resonates today. Whether she was delivering a stern lecture to one of her children, sharing a quiet moment with her husband, or arguing a legal case in court, she did it with an authenticity and elegance that made her unforgettable. The next chapter of the Cosby Show story is harder to tell. The controversy that would later emerge around Bill Cosby forced many to reevaluate everything the show had stood for, and this had its effects on the cast, especially on her. The controversial shadows over the Cosby Show's legacy and its lasting impact on Phylicia Rashad and the cast. For nearly a decade, The Cosby Show stood as a towering cultural beacon of black excellence, a revolutionary portrayal of a stable black family filled with love and humor. It changed the landscape of American TV and inspired a generation. Sadly, in the years after its finale, and especially in the mid-2010s, the show's legacy was irreversibly damaged by a series of allegations and legal battles that brought its star and creator, Bill Cosby, into public disgrace. What followed was not just a fall from grace for one man, but a collective reckoning for the cast, for fans, and for a wider society that had invested so deeply in the image the show projected. Among those most affected was Phylicia Rashad. She had long been admired for her role as the wise and graceful Claire Huxtable, and now she suddenly found herself in a storm she did not create, but from which she could not escape. Though whispers and rumors had circulated for years, the real explosion began in 2014 when comedian Hannibal Buress publicly called Bill Cosby a rapist during a stand-up routine in Philadelphia. The remark went viral, and within weeks, decades-old allegations of sexual assault resurfaced. Some newly filed, some previously dismissed or settled privately. The media quickly picked up the story, and the narrative snowballed. Women from across the country, which ultimately totaled over 60, came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct, drugging, and worse accusations spanning from the 1960s to the early 2000s. The sheer number and consistency of the stories were shocking, even to those who had long held him in high regard. By 2015, he was charged criminally in Pennsylvania for an incident involving Andrea Constand, a former Temple University employee. In 2018, he was found guilty on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault and sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. The conviction was later overturned in 2021 on a legal technicality, not on the merits of the case. Though the conviction was overturned, the damage to his reputation and the show's legacy was already done. While Bill became the focus of the legal proceedings, the rest of the Cosby Show cast was caught in the ripple effects. For actors like Malcolm, Jamal Warner, Tempest Bledsoe, Sabrina LaBeouf, and Keshia Knight Pulliam, the public now viewed their defining work through a lens of suspicion, sadness, and confusion. Syndications of the show were pulled. TV Land, Bounce TV, and other networks removed reruns from rotation. Royalties dried up. What had once been a source of pride and a body of work that symbolized family unity and cultural representation was suddenly considered radioactive, and no one wanted anything to do with it. Some cast members remained largely silent. Others, like Malcolm, Jamal Warner, spoke out cautiously, expressing sorrow for the victims while lamenting the loss of a legacy that had meant so much to so many. He said in a 2018 interview, "The work we did, the legacy we left, the doors we opened, it all feels overshadowed now." Still, no reaction received more attention or more scrutiny than that of Phylicia Rashad. Phylicia's initial response to the allegations was firm and controversial. In a 2015 interview with Showbiz 411, she dismissed the growing accusations, saying, "Forget these women. What you're seeing is the destruction of a legacy, and I think it's orchestrated." Many were stunned. A woman, long admired for her poise and advocacy, had, in the eyes of critics, turned her back on victims of sexual violence. To some, her comments felt like a betrayal, especially given her stature as a role model for women, particularly black women. As more evidence surfaced and a criminal conviction was handed down, Phylicia's continued defense of Bill became a flashpoint. When his conviction was overturned in 2021, she tweeted, "Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected." The backlash was swift. Students and faculty at Howard University, where she had recently been appointed dean of the Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts, demanded accountability. Many felt her statement mocked the experiences of survivors and sent a troubling message to the young people under her leadership. Within days, she issued a statement of clarification, writing, "I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth." Howard University also released a statement reaffirming its commitment to survivors, though it stopped short of any disciplinary action. What happened to The Cosby Show wasn't just a celebrity scandal. It was a collapse of cultural memory. For decades, the Huxtables had symbolized hope, progress, and possibility. They were a comfort in a media landscape that too often painted black life in narrow strokes. Now, audiences were grappling with cognitive dissonance. How could a show that meant so much, that helped so many, be the product of a man capable of such alleged harm? And what did that mean for the rest of the cast, many of whom had no knowledge of his off-screen behavior? For Phylicia, the situation was even more complex. She had been the show's moral center. People projected their trust onto her. Her defense of Bill Cosby was not just seen as loyalty. It was interpreted, rightly or wrongly, as a dismissal of truth, of accountability, and of pain. This left many of her longtime admirers in conflict. Could one separate the artist from the art? Was Claire Huxtable still a symbol of strength if the woman who played her seemed unmoved by the suffering of others? The answer isn't easy to give and remains unresolved. Since the height of the controversy, Phylicia has largely kept a lower public profile. Her role as dean at Howard has continued, and many students continue to speak highly of her leadership, mentorship, and presence on campus. Still, the shadow of the scandal lingers. When she appears in interviews or public panels, questions about Bill Cosby are inevitable. Even her most recent acting roles in shows like This Is Us or films like Creed are accompanied by commentary about her past remarks. To her credit, she has not doubled down in the way some public figures have. Her 2021 apology stopped short of a retraction, but it acknowledged the hurt caused. She has remained poised, as always, but more guarded, perhaps finally understanding that public perception is no longer on automatic pilot. For others in the cast, the scandal has complicated their careers in quieter ways. Some have distanced themselves, others have stayed loyal but silent. Nearly all agree on one thing: what happened off-screen doesn't erase what The Cosby Show meant to millions of people, but it does force a deeper, more painful conversation about legacy, power, and harm. In recent years, cultural critics, scholars, and fans alike have wrestled with whether The Cosby Show should still be watched or even remembered. Some argue that the show's impact on black representation, education, and identity cannot be undone by one man's crimes. Others believe its continued airing is disrespectful to survivors and a painful reminder of what was hidden behind the scenes. The debate is not unique to The Cosby Show. It echoes similar discussions about problematic figures in film, music, and literature. But because of the show's specific role in black cultural history, the stakes feel higher. For many, it's possible to hold two truths: that The Cosby Show was a work of undeniable importance and that its creator did irrevocable harm. For those who grew up seeing themselves in the Huxtables, that complexity is heartbreaking, but also very necessary. In many ways, Phylicia Rashad remains an icon. Her body of work is expansive. Her impact is enduring. She continues to teach, to act, and to speak, though perhaps with more caution than before. The controversy surrounding The Cosby Show has visibly altered her public image. What was once near-universal admiration is now more fragmented, a blend of reverence, disappointment, empathy, and criticism. She is no longer just Claire Huxtable. She is a woman who has lived through the rise and fall of an empire, who has defended a man others see as indefensible, and who continues to stand firm in her beliefs, however contested they may be. What do you think about Phylicia Rashad's story? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. To enjoy more exciting videos, click play on the video on your screen. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new video drops.